You've heard people talk about building in public, but you want to know why the heck should you do it? What is it? What's it all about? Here are the top 5 reasons that you should be building in public. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Listen to Leo. In today's video, I wanted to share the top 5 reasons that you should be building in public. Let's start with number 5. Simply putting the information out into the world and helping those behind you. It's amazing how powerful this can be when you're talking about the problems that you face and how you approach them and ultimately how you solve them. This is super helpful to those behind you who are looking for inspiration, looking for help, looking for ways to solve their own problems. And something to keep in mind is that just because they're behind you on one thing doesn't mean they're behind you on everything. And if you help them in one way, you might find that you'll turn around and say, actually, I need help in this other thing. And they're going to help you out with that. And so it's a great way to start building up those relationships and really moving the needle forward as people start to understand that you're a person who shares what you're going through and how you're approaching it. That's incredibly helpful for everyone on their journey. All right. Number 4, it's great for holding yourself accountable. So as someone with ADHD, sometimes I don't always do what I think I'm going to do. But I found that by talking about what I'm doing on Twitter, I'm going to throw it out in the world and say, hey, I'm going to do this. And then I kind of feel compelled to actually do the thing that I said I was going to do. You can also use this to find like accountability groups and things like that if you need even more formal structure. But usually for me, I just find that if I throw it out into the world, I'm going to hold myself accountable to that because it's a thing I said that I would do. And that's pretty important to me. All right. Number 3, it's going to throw up the bat signal. What do I mean by that? I mean, it is going to be the magnet that attracts the people to you that you need to be connected with. You talk about what you're doing, you talk about the problem that you're solving, you talk about how you're doing it, and all of a sudden, the magical algorithms are going to start funneling people towards you. Now, the thing that might sound confusing about this is that you're like, Leo, wait, these algorithms don't help me at all. I'm just new, I'm starting out. Don't worry about that. It's not about the quantity of people, it's about the quality of people. And by putting out what you're working on and what you're talking about, what you're going to do is you're going to make yourself discoverable by the people looking for that. And, people interested in the types of problems that you're solving or the type of technology you're using are going to be actively looking. And so when you're talking about what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you care about, you're going to be pulling in the right people. You're going to effectively turn yourself into a magnet that attracts the type of people you need to be connected with. Do it for long enough, and you're going to be absolutely astonished at the results because you've created this entirely discoverable body of work for people to accidentally stumble upon while they're looking around that area. And boom, you've attracted somebody into your magnetic field. You're all set. Number 2, you're going to be able to workshop your messaging. I'm going to be honest. This is what I've had the hardest time with. Terrible at it. Because a lot of times I have these big ideas of what I'm building. And then I talk about it to people and they're like, huh? What are you talking about? And I've lost them. The trick with messaging is simplifying and clarifying to the point where there's no confusion about what it is you're doing and who you're doing it for. On a landing page, this can be really hard to get to a point where you can actually tell if your messaging is working because it's like, okay, you've got the landing page, but now you've got to get people to it. You've got to make sure that those are the right people. You've got to say, hey, is this a statistically significant number of people who are reading my messaging? Is it affecting them? Is it not? That's an incredibly long cycle to go through. On social media, you can just throw it out there. You can talk about it. You can see if people understand it. It doesn't actually necessarily need to be your target audience. That's good if it is, but it doesn't have to be. because a lot of times, even if they're not your target audience, they'll be able to say whether or not it's clear and something they can understand. You want to make it free of jargon. You want to be able to explain it to just anybody on the street. Also, it's kind of weird to talk about it. And if it's not something that you're used to, it's going to feel really awkward at first. Confession, it still feels a bit awkward to me, but it's a lot easier after I've done it over and over and over again on social media, talking about what it is I'm building, why I'm building it, who I'm building it for, that sort of thing. Repetition matters, iteration matters. Building in public is a great way to just add that into your normal routine so that you can constantly improve at that, because especially if it's not something you're used to doing, it's going to feel really weird at first and you're not going to be good at it. And that's okay. But the number one reason that you should be building in public is for trust reasons. Everything is based on trust. People have to trust you enough, especially if you want them to give you money for anything. And one of the issues with marketing is that it's building trust in a product. But what if you're building a product and you realize that that is not really what you want to be doing? It's not going down the right path. It's not going to work the way you thought it did. If you've done a bunch of marketing into a product and people maybe trusted that product, but now you're going away, okay, you've kind of lost that. By building in public, you're really building trust in yourself that you can then take and apply to any of the products you build. And so if you're building in public and talking about what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're doing it for, you're sharing your journey, you're building up trust in you, all of a sudden it doesn't matter so much what you're actually building. Now, yes, if you're building a product, you do want to market it and do things that way. But ultimately, by building in public, you're going to be building up this trust base around you, and people are going to root for you to win. And if people are rooting for you to win, they're going to find ways to help you along in your journey. And that trust is going to be so, so important. It's really easy to get caught up in the current state of the internet, where most people think about influencers, holding up toilet seats so they can pretend they're on a private jet. And it's all about, faking it. And it's really easy to do. It's super easy to pretend you've made it and try to sell that. But over time, people are becoming more and more skeptical of that. And we're getting to this point where people don't really trust anything they see online because there's so much crap out there that is trying to deceive us. And so what you want to do is you want to fight back against that by being your authentic, true self, sharing what you care about, because that shines through. And if once that shines through over time, you've built up trust. People trust you. People will be okay with giving you money if you're solving a problem that they've got. And they're going to be thinking about you, and other people have oh, hey, I've got this problem. Do you know any solutions? Oh yeah, actually I know just the thing. Leo's been talking about what he's building, and it's not something I need, but I hear you talking about your problem, and I'm like, okay, you need that. And that is incredibly helpful. Just having people trust you, having people root for you, that is ultimately why building in public is a great way to go about things. Now, you may have noticed I haven't talked a lot about exactly what building in public is. I've talked about why you should. And that's because there's no one definition or right way to do it. But ultimately, it's just about authentically sharing yourself, your journey, what you're doing, who you're doing it for. And that's it. It doesn't matter what platform you share on. Maybe you share on Twitter. Maybe you write a blog. Maybe you create YouTube videos. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're putting in the work and you're sharing with the world what you're doing and why. And that is why you should start building in public. It doesn't matter what you're building. Go out, build trust, throw up the bad signal, hold yourself accountable, and ultimately you're going to find that you're going to be successful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.